How's it going, guys? Tim Parrish here in the Gym Hoops 2.0, here with another video. I know you haven't seen me in a long time, and trust me, it's gonna be okay. I swear you guys don't even know what's going on. I got a whole bunch of videos to put out from seeing Jordan Poole in San Francisco. Yes, I saw Jordan Poole play in the NBA live with this camera.
Out of Michigan, number 3, Jordan Poole!
This video is about Jalen Green. Last Thursday and Friday, for that 24-hour cycle from afternoon to afternoon when he made his decision, man, that was one of the top 3 stories, if not the top story in every single sports show. Put a montage together of everything together, sort of explaining what's going on if you didn't exactly know, and also too just to get feedback, hear what the experts say. Without further ado, here it is. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and hey, I'm telling you, we got Jordan Poole content coming.
Jalen Green is the #1 basketball prospect in the 2020 class. Made a big announcement yesterday that he is bypassing college to enroll in the NBA's new G League Professional Pathway program. It's a program that will pay elite prospects $500,000 and then provide 1 year of development without playing full-time in the G League.
Meantime, people continue to discuss Jalen Green's unprecedented decision yesterday to bypass college, not to go to China, not to go to the NBL in Australia, not to just sit out a year and train, but to be a part of a brand new G League program that is basically a developmental academy. He'll be based in Southern California. He'll be surrounded by other elite prospects and pros, and he'll train and train and train. And rather than play a normal G League schedule, they'll just play somewhere between 12 and 20 games. They will all be exhibitions. They built something for him and people like him, mostly in an attempt to keep the elite American prospect from going to a place like China or a place like Australia, because simply put, the NBA doesn't want to go to Australia and China to evaluate them, to scout them. So let's build something to keep them in the country. We want the best American prospects to remain in America, whether that's at Duke, Kentucky, Memphis, Texas, or in this G League Academy. But what we don't want is them in Australia or in China. And sure enough, last night, some decided to make it the death of college basketball.
Paul, is college basketball doomed? Is this a sign of horrible things?
Not even close, Dan. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Okay, we're talking about one great player that, yes, we'd be better off, meaning college basketball, with Jalen Green. And there's going to be some really good high school prospects that follow him to the G League, but college basketball, in my mind, is in a great place.
You saw where Jalen Green, who's the top high school kid out of Fresno, he decided to go to the G League, and they sort of set up this separate G League account or whatever it is. It's like, come on in and you're going to get $500,000 and we'll get you a shoe deal, and you sort of hang out here for a little while and develop, and then you'll go into the draft next year. What exactly is this program? It's like the commissioner's exempt list when he was, the NFL commissioner, where I didn't even know he had an exempt list. I didn't know the G League had this.
Yeah, this is a very interesting development, and it seems to me underscores what appears to be a bit of disdain from the NBA side and Adam Silver side towards college basketball. It's like whether it's the system is too corrupt or it's just not producing players that are ready enough or whatever. I think he's gone from, yes, I'll work with the college game and, we'll eventually get rid of the age minimum and, take away some of the ambiguity of these guys that are going to school for 1 year and just let them go straight in. Now it's like, we're just going to go raid the high school guys, and we don't care whether they come to you or not. And so, to me, that's a very interesting development. If they've got that kind of money to throw around, kids are going to be very interested in taking it. Now, it may not be for many of them, but still, if you're siphoning off those kind of kids, it definitely would have an impact on the college game. And, I wrote about this. Most college kids, guys that are playing college basketball, don't want to be there, especially the good ones. They do not grow up dreaming of playing for North Carolina or Duke or Kentucky or Kansas or UCLA or anyone else. They don't want to be there.
This is now a legitimate option for players to get in the NBA's development system and not have to go to Australia and not have to play college basketball if that's not the route they want to go.
Adam Silver clearly appears to be ahead of the curve, and I'm proud of what they did here. Let me give props to my man Chris Haynes for Yahoo. That's my brother. Always good to see him doing his thing. Keep it up, bro. Let me get back to this kid, Jalen Green here. I spoke to his agent, Aaron Goodwin, last night. I spoke to a couple of NCAA coaches, obviously some folks in the NBA community. Look at what the NBA is doing here. Essentially what you're taking are top prospects. You know, you're offering the opportunity. Let's say, for example, you're one of those rare stars coming out of high school where it's clear that you're destined for the NBA. You could go to college, you could play 1 year before coming into the NBA, or, you know, you've got some people like LaMelo Ball and others that have gone overseas, or they've gone to Australia or China or someplace like that. Well, guess what? The NBA said, we're tired of sending our scouts all the way over there. We're tired of being devoid of the opportunities for these young men to really, really develop their skills and what have you, because they need to go someplace else just to earn money, because the NCAA won't allow them to do so, particularly when it comes to profiting off of their likeness. Well, here's a solution. Even though the average salary in the G League is $35,000 to $50,000, we're here giving these guys $500,000. I'm told in Jalen Green's case, it's definitely more than $500,000. Plus, we're giving them the option. They could go to college if they want to, and we will pay for their education. So we're not sacrificing their education for the benefits of basketball, but we're still allowing them to play basketball, get a decent salary, to say the least. I mean, the average salary in the world ain't even $50,000, $60,000. You talk about a kid making $500,000 or more. This is a beautiful, beautiful thing, and it puts the NCAA on notice that you can't get away with exploiting these athletes the way that you've been doing for decades. Your time is up. The NBA is on the scene. You only serve in 1 year there. You go to the G League for 1 year. You develop your skills. You learn the NBA game, you know, as an understudy to some degree from those guys in there. And not only that, you're available for the draft. It's not like a particular team has your rights. You're able to enter. In Jalen Green's case, it will be the 2021 NBA draft, and he's eligible for any team that's slotted to take him in whatever position they want to take him at, while at the same time being in that developmental league, learning an NBA system, being paid in excess of $500,000 while still getting his education paid for if he so chooses to do it. I'm told it'll probably be online as opposed to him actually attending a university. It will be online classes. But all of those things I think are a great thing. I called Aaron Goodwin myself last night to express how happy I was that this happened, and I hope to see more of it from elite athletes coming out of prep until the NCAA steps up and starts taking care of these dudes and compensating them the way they deserve.
My reaction initially is how Adam Silver continues to do an amazing job keeping his finger on the pulse and understanding what is best for growing the game and that bridge between collegiate basketball versus high school and the pros. There still will be players, Greeny, that choose to go to the NCAA, as Woj just alluded to. Number one, because of family dynamics. A lot of times when you're an athlete, people just assume you want to cash in on your talents so very early. But a lot of times as you start to mature, you realize there's more to life. And there are going to be some parents that still want their son to go to college, whether it's for 1 year, for a couple of years, to gain an experience and hopefully one day get a diploma.
In basketball is Eamon Brennan of The Athletic. You can follow him on Twitter at Eamon Brennan. He's on the Al Piemonte Ford hotline. Al Piemonte Ford in Melrose Park. Eamon, how are you hanging in?
I'm doing okay, Dan. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right, and I was so happy to see this yesterday. It's nothing but positive when a young man will be able to be paid for his special skill rather than just lining the pockets of a coach or a school while trying to make sure he's got enough food to eat. I think this is cool. What do you think the meaning of this is in the larger picture based on the way the winds happen to be blowing right now?
Yeah, well, I think it's probably a step closer to a better, sort of more sensible version of where we were 15 years ago, where guys could just go pro. I think the NBA is kind of slowly getting there. Whether or not they do away with the actual age limit in the next couple of years in a collective bargaining agreement is up in the air. It seems like the winds are kind of blowing that way when you hear from players and from NBA people that's kind of the direction things are moving. But in the interim, this is a really interesting option, obviously, that didn't exist. I think back years ago when a guy like Brandon Jennings went overseas and was kind of the first high-profile prospect to do that. And that was a big deal at the time, and it went well. It went fine. He got drafted, but it didn't lead to this huge exodus of top talent under the age limit rule. And now I'll be interested to see if this is the start of something, or if our weird circumstances this summer, this offseason, this spring, in addition to maybe what ends up being a short-term state of play, is just this was kind of an interesting thing that was set up for a couple of years, and the NBA kind of got there, but then in the end it didn't need to because of the age limit rule going away in a couple of years. I'm kind of interested to see whether this is the start of something, whether we're just sort of in a holding period.
I've been pushing for this for so long, and part of it is because my experience is informed by having worked in minor league pro basketball coming up. And right away, first job out of college, working within the Global Basketball Association, and then spending multiple seasons in the Continental Basketball Association, and just seeing how development could be nonlinear and interrupted, and hearing about their varying college experiences, and how the NBA never really had to have investment in their feeder system. But the one connection that is missing here for me in this particular model, Eamon, is that he's going to have to play any of these prospects, because he hasn't been drafted yet, because his rights are not yet owned by an NBA team, that he can't play for an affiliated team. So he's sort of floating out there where the motivations for a coach of what position he might play, etc. I don't know that it's necessarily in the best interest of the prospect, where, as you say, if in fact you can just draft the guy right out of high school, then he could be in a system playing his position just as a minor league baseball player or a minor league hockey player would be. That it's a little clunky right now because you're going to have cross-current motivations for what he's being asked to do as a pro.
Yeah, it's an imperfect setup from the developmental side from the NBA's point of view. And again, that's kind of why it feels like we're in sort of a weird middle period where for years and years, you sort of thought, okay, let's look at the way that like European soccer clubs come up with their talent. They don't draft them from some university system when the kids are, somewhere between 18 and 22 years old. It's guys get into clubs and club setups when they're 12, 13. They go to school while they're practicing, and then they get to a certain point where they're practicing more than they're probably going to school, and then they're either good enough or they're not. And that's sort of a grassroots system in European football. It's very different here, and we have this weird university system of athletics that is unlike any other. I still think because of the way the NBA is kind of handling this right now, it is a bit patchwork and it is a bit difficult, I think, from the prospect's point of view and from sort of understanding it just from a fan's point of view. Like, if you want to watch Jalen Green play basketball next year, what are the implications? What is the interest there, right? Because he's probably the number one player in the class, might have been drafted number one overall or something close to it if he could go to the draft right now. And guys want to watch, people want to watch that kind of guy play basketball. So that's going to be interesting from that point of view too. And then, we have to get to a point, I think, for the college games perspective, where you're talking about a guy like other minor league sports, like minor league baseball and the Major League Baseball draft, or in college baseball, where you can just draft a guy, and then if he doesn't go pro right away, that's fine. He can play another season of college basketball, and you still have his rights. That used to be the rule for years and years. The NCAA now needs to also get to a more sensible place in terms of how it handles not only name, image, likeness, all of that good stuff, but draft rights, draft options, players coming back and making it more fluid to continue their education and play at the college level if the draft doesn't work out for them, because there are going to be guys tempted by this. And I think it will help the NCAA's PR situation, and also will help those players to be able to come back more easily and more fluidly between the two.